Sanitary District June meeting. I'll take this time to call it in order. We'll start off with roll call. Hi, I'm Rich Stork, I'm the chairman.
I'm Dean Mendel, the treasurer.
Matt Anderson, vice chair.
Al Powers, board.
Sue Means, board.
Tina Heidelberger, secretary.
All right, very good. We'll move on to approval of the minutes from May 6, 2025. I would take it that since Tina sent it out, everybody's had a chance to take a look at it. Is there anything that needs any corrections? If you haven't, kind of take a quick look at it. Going twice? All right, I'll look for a motion to accept the June, or the May minutes from May 6th.
Make a motion to accept.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Minutes are accepted and approved. All right, I'll move right into the wastewater operator and chairman. We'll combine it all. Terry's all working on a lift station somewhere else. Thank goodness, not here. So he contacted me and kind of gave me the flow information. So a high flow, we'll start with that, was on 5/25. And that was 14,000 gallons, 930. Must have been a rain day. The low was on 5/2/25 at 8130. That's an average of 9,739 gallons a day, or for the month. The only other thing that kind of went on with wastewater that I'm aware of, Terry didn't report anything other than there were some testing bills that went back and forth to Tina, and sounds like we finally cleared up and they're starting to be sent
Correct.
right to Terry and to Tina for monitoring, and making sure that the bills are kind of moving and going. I'll go into the chairman update. There's been a lot of action with the expansion and all that. Again, I'll let Dean kind of review that when we get down to that portion in the old business. We had a couple Zoom meetings, a lot of emails going back and forth. It's all revolving around the grant money, so there's a lot of work going on right now behind the scenes. Again, I'll let Dean update you guys with that. As far as some of the items that I taken care of this week, earlier in the month, and I'll bring this up so we can pay attention to it. The gate was wide open going out to the ponds. Al and I stopped by and the lock was closed on the chain, but it wasn't wrapped around, so the gate was open. So Al and I cruised back there just to take a look. I haven't been back there for a while. Everything looks pretty good. There was a tree that had come down into the pond area, not into the ponds. Just an old dead tree, and they already started mowing around it. So we made note of it that we should come back and clean it up. Later on that weekend, I grabbed Matthew and we cleaned up that tree and got it out of the area, so we could get a nice clean mow around. Let's see, what else did we do? There was some communication back and forth, and this is wrapping up the Rush Lake Estates. And it all had to do with the clerical. We finalized the letter. I think we have to sign it up today, correct?
Yep, I have it here for you to sign.
So that'll go over. It's just the documentation of what we approved for the design of the hookup of the Rush Lake Estates. So we'll clean up that paperwork tonight. I traded some emails and a couple phone calls back and forth with Jim Ertz and Tina on that scenario. So we'll get that signed and notarized and over to them. So they'll have their documentation and we'll have ours. There was one submission onto the website from one of our residents, and it just had to do with how do I get my billing done, and I think we've directed him on how to take care of that. Other than that, that's pretty much it for the chairman update. Are there any questions? Concerns? No? All right, very good. Let's move on to finance update.
Okay, current checking account balance as of yesterday was $122,413.37. Our investment fund balance was $222,927.56. The investment cash value balance was $30,711.83. All of these are, everything's been trending upwards every month, so no issues there. The bills I have for the month are East Central Energy, $188.67, LJJ, $1,700, MTBL, which is the testing that we do that Terry sends in from the samples from our ponds, is $126.75. Rasmussen was $1,362.16 for May mowing, and the League of Minnesota Cities, our annual insurance premium is $1,825. So I'll pass those down for signature. Any questions?
Can I get a motion to approve the bills and pay the bills?
I have a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, we'll move into the old business, and we'll start off with expansion.
We've had a meeting, Rich and Becky and myself and Chris from MAP, which is our state representative. We've been going through the application process, the paperwork that gives us the money portion. And one of the things that our EPA specialist talked about was getting any expenditures so far submitted to her so that we could possibly be reimbursed for that from the $1.9 million grant. We're still working on getting those numbers together and those invoices. We're making quite a bit of progress on it. It'll be a little bit while yet before we get everything to the point where we can agree that we've got all of our invoices and payments calculated together. So, other than that, I think we have a possible another EPA meeting, Zoom meeting in July, early July. That's about all I have for now.
And I'll just add a couple other things that are going on with that. So the big thing is the finances, improving what we paid, and then there are quite a few other steps. I'm quite impressed with the new rep that we have. She's really starting to dig into it. One of the things that we had to produce was a working plan of how we're going to proceed with the expansion. And Chris kind of put that together from MAP. It was a pretty good, 3-4 page document. She went over it and broke down little areas what we could change and correct and clean up and add to help, push this paperwork through the grant process approval. So I think there's, like Dean said, I think there's some pretty good momentum. At least we are meeting monthly now with this group, internal group, and between MAP and the actual EPA representative who is sponsoring the grant. I think we're getting some pretty good forward motion. I guess the next thing is just kind of waiting, and I don't know if this is really going to be hopeful, is if the state's going to come up with anything. And we're hearing all kinds of different things. I think, the news says one thing, and if they can get their work done, we'll see.
Yeah, the last I heard, they're still talking about the same bill. And originally, they thought maybe tomorrow they'd have their finances done, but they don't know yet. No one will know until it finally does call a special session.
All right, I think that, unless you can think of anything else, Dean, I think that's kind of the progress on the expansion for the last month. All right, I'm gonna bring up, we'll start with still some old business, just the report on the roads and where we're at. Al, I think, you know, it looks like they got 90% done with what we contracted them for.
Yeah, everything got done and I checked it out and it looks great. I've talked to the people that live where they did all the work, and they said they've done a great job, they're easy to get along with, and they did a super job. I wish I could give them more, but there's only so much money in the budget, but next year we'll get this in here again, because they're very, very easy to get along with, and they do a great job.
And then they did follow up with their certificate of insurance, I think some emails and phone calls right back and forth.
Right.
Okay, good, so we did get that on record. All right, that's the roads. We'll go to the channel update. Sue, how's that going?
Well, better. We had a call from DNR that they wanted current depth readings of both channels, and they wanted it. That was Wednesday afternoon before Memorial Weekend. And so I called for a quick meeting. We had people attend, and we got guys to measure, so they measured the water depth of both channels. And they also measured the total depth. And in some spots, there's 5 feet of muck. So, in like with 2 feet of water.
Mm-hmm.
So we have that information to give them also so right now, it's everything that is needed has been given to them, and they are going to start routing it out for approval, and that can take about 30 days.
So with that average and stuff, can they calculate at least a rough estimate of how much the spoils are gonna be? That's the ultimate goal, right?
Yeah, that was for us to do also, and because we had to mark where we were going to dredge.
Mhm.
Because some spots aren't going to need it, because, you know, it'd be half a foot.
Yep.
And so from the original survey that we had done professionally by the original contractor we went with, we took that survey, I took the numbers from that to get the total volume, and it'll be about, I'd say 8,000 feet, or
Yards.
yeah,
Yards.
cubic, yeah.
Cubic feet?
And then I calculated what 2 acres will hold, and I think it was like a lot, like,
So it can take all of it if they decide to put it all there. Okay.
I hope, yeah.
All right, well, that's good.
Yeah,
Anything else? Any questions on the channel work?
and we'll be having a meeting, you know, I'll be having a meeting with the folks later, you know, just to recap on what's happening, and
Okay. We'll go into new business. I'm going to jump ahead and let Al talk about something we briefly brought up about some of the speed issues that's been going on, we've noticed. So he checked into some options like we asked him last week about speed bumps.
Yeah, I've tracked people down in the neighborhood that just come through, flying through there. And I've talked to, I don't know, 8, 10, 12 people that said, you need to slow down, please slow down. They've got kids in here, more and more little kids are being in this neighborhood. So please slow down, it doesn't do any good. So we've checked into options about speed bumps. There'll be temporary speed bumps in the spring. They'll be installed, and in the fall, before the snow flies, they'll take them out. And for 4 speed bumps, to do all that maintenance, if we need them moved, they'll come out and do that. It's $1,950 for the 4 of them for the summers, spring, summer, and fall. So I'm making a motion to accept that $1,950. And again, this is with the Premier Blacktop. They'll be come out and doing the work.
where will those be placed, Al?
Want to be placed as you take left when you come into Shorewood. When you go to the split, want to be placed to the right, want to be placed to the left, want to be placed just before the split, another one down at the Y. Just so people can slow down and get the message across.
So basically, we're just covering the Shorewood Circle right now, right?
Correct. I have heard no complaints about the lower part, the lower circle, and down at the dead end, and I heard no complaints about that. It's mainly the main circle up above that we've had
Who was
big
it,
problem.
You said it was Premier?
Premier blacktop.
They're the same one that do our blacktopping, so,
Okay.
so they're temporary speed bumps that they would secure to the asphalt.
They'll drill the hole, secure it to the asphalt, they'll pull it out when we're done, we're ready for them to pull them out, and they will patch the holes.
Okay.
And what was the cost?
1950.
Al, do they have some caution signage that goes along with that?
I did not ask them about that, Dean, but
I think that's something that, well, is there any other comments? I mean, I like the idea about the speed bumps, but I think with speed bumps, we either have to put orange flags next to them, or we should put a sign basically letting people know that they're speed bumps.
right. I think that, I'm not positive on this, but I think they're black and yellow stripes on them.
Okay, so they will be, you can see them, they're gonna have,
Yes, reflective,
Okay.
black, yellow stripes on them.
I don't know if we want to invest in signs or anything at this particular time, but maybe what we could do is just invest in like a flag at each location on each side. You know, just orange flag. What do you, any other comments on that?
I think that'd be a great idea. Just give them a fair warning.
I think we should use signs that say speed bump
At each location or just coming into the circle?
at each location.
I would say, well, depending on the cost,
Yep.
I would say just coming in to the circle, you know, at that, let them be surprised.
Well, I don't know if I guess I'm against a sign at each speed bump, but I'm for a sign either at the beginning or when people let their speed bump, so they're gonna be, at least we can say, no, we warned them.
At each entrance, a sign, at each entrance.
Yep, and then, you know, I don't know if we necessarily even have to put an orange, because what's gonna happen is people are gonna have to maintain those signs at each one of the locations, or even the flags, so.
Yeah.
I would say if we're gonna invest in signs, we put it at the entrances, where we have our speed limit signs and say caution speed bumps, and then they should be able to see them if they're black and yellow, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Any other comments?
The reason why I would do them at each bump is because it just raises
Awareness?
more awareness that they should be slowing down.
Yeah.
The other thing how many locations are there?
4.
I would say that we maybe would want to double that and put them throughout the circle. Because I think the main areas where the main concern is for me is around the park area. And if we don't put a bump in those long chutes, because that's where they gain their speed, is after they make the turn. Let's say the bump is there, they go over the bump, then they just speed up all the way to the Y, slow down at the Y, go over that bump, and then speed up again. So I'd say we put them at the turn at the first split off of Shorewood Drive, put on both roads there, then halfway down, put another set, and then at the Y we put another set, and then probably I'd put yet another set closer down by where you guys are, where that turnaround is. Because as people go around that turn, maybe as they go around that blind turn that heads down, put another set there.
It's more at the bottom of the hill, so, well, of course, that's gonna it's gonna double it to another 2,000, so we'd be investing almost $5,000 into speed bumps. Which of course we have budgeted for, not that that's that big of an issue.
3920.
Yeah, we about $400,000. My thought is, and I'll just put this out there for a little bit more discussion. We've never had anything before. I think, my opinion, we could kind of see how 4 speed bumps go. And then let's kind of pay attention and monitor it, and if we think we need to add some, I don't think it's that much harder to add a couple more. How do you guys feel?
I think that's a good idea.
Yep, I think that's a
Yeah.
good idea.
Okay, so basically in the whole package, we'd like to see a sign that we mount up by each of the entrances by our green signs, our speed limit signs, caution speed bumps, so 2 signs. And then we're gonna get 4 speed bumps and get them installed. All right, based on that information, I guess I'll look for a motion to proceed with adding these speed bumps on the roads as a test this year to see how things go.
Would that be paid out of the road portion of the financing?
Well, this year we used all that budget.
Use it all?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I think next year, I think maybe we build that into the budget. So, at this point, I guess we'd have to make a decision on where we think the best place to pull, or what budget or what coffer we could pull this out of. And I guess maybe, I don't know, I might lean on Gina a little bit for that information or ideas.
Well, we had a shortfall, I mean, technically, last time we were, so,
On the roads.
just in general with our budget, because originally we'd approved it as, it wasn't a balanced budget.
Yep.
So,
Well, no, I thought we went back and we balanced it. We adjusted.
we did,
Yeah.
so let me pull up.
So
You guys
when
can
would
keep
these be
discussing.
installed?
As soon as it gets approved.
This year, yeah. Okay.
You know, as I sit and think of it,
Maybe we place them further down each road, because when they make the turn, they're not gonna be going fast anyway.
yeah, we can adjust that a little bit. I think if, once they do come, you know, if a couple people kind of want to lock it to see what makes most sense. I like the general idea of where the general areas are, but I tend to agree with you. You're probably going to want to bring them down, maybe one closer to the pump house and even closer to like the corner of your lot.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Right, and then we'll just kind of, based on the way we see the cars racing around, I think we'll walk that around. I mean, I think that makes sense. To get back to the budget stuff, I don't know, you know, I think,
So we have $1,000 budget in the updates and maintenance of the parks,
Okay.
so,
I think another place that we could look about taking it out is, we haven't dipped into plowing last year or this year. So we should have some money sitting in there.
we had $9,000 in there.
Okay. I mean, that's a gamble, but at least we didn't spend it last year. We can kind of make up for it in the budget coming up in, you know, the fall to plan for it. I mean, that's my first thought. Any questions on that or any ideas?
That sounds good.
All right, so, I guess to move forward, I'll look for a motion for speed bumps based on the information provided. And the rough amount of, right now it's roughly $2,000, but we have to get some signs produced, I think.
Couple $100.
Couple $100. So it's roughly, based on what you're saying, I'm gonna guess it's, let's call it $2,200. I'm looking for approval for $2,200 for a speed bump experiment for this summer.
First the motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved and carries. All right, we are gonna move on to Shorewood Night Out 2025.
What?
National Night Out or our summer party, and we haven't picked a date or anything like that yet, or I
Well-
think that'd be the first thing we want to do?
Yes, August 8th.
August
It's
8th?
a Friday night, that way the weekenders will be able to attend.
Okay,
I've invited the mayor, the fire chief, And I have a call into the sheriff, so we can have a representative. And then I sent a message to Doug O'Brien of RLYA. So, based on what we did last year, we had 20 kids and I believe it was 51 adults, approximately. So, you know, pretty good turnout. Our food was, we bought a little more than we used, but what we did have left over and could donate, we did to the food shelf. But I would like to proceed and have the same type of food available. And I was hoping Terry would be here so I could ask him about the bouncy house that was vacant.
I'll give you Terry's number and you can reach out to
Okay.
him.
Sounds good. And then, so I think last year we budgeted, or I asked for 250. And I think based on what supplies we need to buy compared to last year, which would be a little less, I think that would, you know, even with price jumps, it should be doable.
So you're looking for 250 again?
Yeah.
All right. I'll need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
Second motion.
All in favor of providing $250 for the night out planning for August 8th?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
And then we'll just talk about planning some more in July, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we want to donate to the fireworks? I know we talked about it last year, but we didn't do anything, and we thought we might want to do it this year.
The Flickbirds is.
Yeah.
To be honest, everybody, I'm against it.
I believe the amount that we would give them, which would be, I don't know personally, compared to be a lot to what other groups give, but that money that we would give them, we could benefit from that ourselves with things that the neighborhood needs. You know, I think if we were, you know, had, you know, tens of thousands in our account, yeah, but we don't. And there's things that our community needs.
I agree.
I think we support them throughout the year, you know, despite,
All reflective.
yeah.
Yeah. You know, you put that very well. I think we don't have a big budget. We're on a shoestring. Maybe in the future, if things, you know, tend to start trending in the right way, but, you know, we're always one catastrophe away of, you know, of looking for a loan with operating that sewer system. So I think that, I think a lot of things that we're doing within the park, you know, the speed bumps, the National Night Out, you know, the channel, there's a lot of things going on, and I think, you know, with the budgets the way they are, I think we keep it within our neighborhood also. Okay, very good. Any other discussions?
Do you guys think that the park isn't being mowed short enough?
They won't mow it any shorter.
Oh, really?
No,
That-
they won't lower their blade, because that's one thing I want. It does not look nice around right now.
Especially with the weeds, like.
It looks really bad. And like the stop sign or the yield sign coming out, it's because it's where Joel Freeberg's is there. That is so overgrown, that culvert is plugged there, like there's no, that
Yeah.
needs to be taken care of.
And that's his property there.
But we have the,
Easement on each side.
I mean, like we're responsible for that there.
It is starting to get overgrown there. It was typically taken care of when somebody would go up and clean it up.
So it needs, something needs to be, and also when we're going out, the stop sign there going out onto the main road. Like the county will do a certain part of it, but it's hard to see, like from both directions when you're turning right or left, especially turning left, those weeds are really high on that side there. So down that ditch, and it's hard to see when you're coming out of there. I just don't want to see somebody get hit.
All right, so as far as the mowing goes, they mowed twice. And this is kind of what happened last year too. You know, the grass grows quick, especially when we have a lot of rain. You know, unless we mow it once a week, it's gonna be that way.
I guess something's better than nothing, but I still,
Right. Something's better than nothing. You know, one of the residents came up to me and said something about it, and you know, there's nothing stopping anybody to go out there and mow. If they wanted to go back to the old way, and then we just, no matter what, they come in and clean up. You know, Rasmussen mows twice a month, just like they're doing. You know, it's basically what we signed up for. As far as the roadways, I think we give them a call and ask them if they would clean them up for us. It's gonna be a charge, but that's what's gonna have to happen.
So this year we're tied into them, obviously. So next year, I think we should think about going back to the old ways where,
Well, if we go back to the old ways, you're gonna have to do a survey and actually, because there are more than just one person that doesn't wanna mow the lawns, right? I mean, there was 2, 3, 4 people that, you know, felt like they were forced into it, so that's why we made that adjustment. So it's gonna be tough either way you look at it. So, you know, what are the options? Do we keep them there mowing twice a year, and then if people wanna go out and mow and clean it up, that's great, you know, in certain areas, that's just a plus. I have no problem with that myself, but, you know, there's a lot of things that could happen. I mean, somebody could go around and trim the trees and bushwhack around the trees. I mean, it depends on what we want to do with it, and it depends on who wants to pitch in. The whole idea of us taking on the mowing wasn't to stop everything from what was going on before, but there's been a transition and different people and, you know, coming in and out of here. And there's still some people that don't mind mowing, but there are people that just don't have the means to do it. So
right?
it's tough to deal with.
Is the current state of the park deterring anyone from using it? Or what is the,
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
so, I mean, it's functional.
Yep. It's not like our yards, let's just put it that way.
Yes.
I mean, I mow my yard every other night, you know, just to keep it to where I want to. So I don't think we're ever gonna get to that way unless we kick out some more money.
Mhm.
That's what it's all about.
Right.
So I would say that based on the conversation, maybe if we can reach out to Dean to see if they can stop out and take care of our entrances and knock them down, and maybe we have them do that once a month, or at least based on what they see, but
The county doesn't de-weed those ditches or cut the weeds down or what?
to a certain amount, but I think we're still responsible for our approach. And
Oh, okay.
the approach on the north side is fine, because those 2 residents, they mow that and keep that clean. But there's nobody other than Joel, and his mowing seems to be getting less and less sporadic these days, and that might be to do with his health. So, especially on his side of the road, it hasn't been maintained at all, really. So, if you can reach out to Rasmussen to see if you can clean that up for us, I think let's get that cleaned up, and then we'll kind of monitor to see if that has to be done every time or once a month. Or maybe you can sweet talk him into just taking care of it since we do so much work with it.
I'll do that. I'll see if he'll lower his decks too.
All right, sounds good. Anything else?
DJ, you got something?
No, I don't think I missed too much when I had to hop out there. I like the speed bumps. Is there going to be a weight limit on? Yeah, they sound like they're professional speed bumps, so they should be able to get like
The trash guy.
trash guy and fire trucks in
I'll
it.
check into that, but I'm sure,
Well, that's why he went to, he looked and he researched himself, but then that's why he went right to Premier. It sounds like it's something that they do.
Yeah,
they do.
attaching it sounds pretty,
Um,
pretty solid.
maybe what we should do though is see if Darren has any documentation of what it is, and see if he can't send that off, he can email that to me or you. At least we know we have some documentation. And then, I know I was asked for stuff in writing, but we typically should have some sort of a documentation, like a quote. So if he could put a quote together for us, and then, maybe some specs on what he plans on putting down. Even a cell sheet, basically, that'd be fine, and how they're gonna attach it. And then, I think one of the other things is, we're gonna trust him to maintain whatever and how they're attaching it, because they take care of our roads anyway, so I'm not really that worried about it. So I think it's a simple ask, so specifications of what he's put down, just a cell sheet, and then just make sure that, they're not gonna be, well, what I like about it, we're not owning them, we're just leasing them, so it's their product. So I guess, just so they don't bust up, our biggest trucks are trash trucks.
He did say he'd come out, and if we need them moved or whatever, it's not doing.
And readjust it after we put them in, yeah, that's nice too, so.
I think it's a good idea to get those.
Yep. Yeah, it is, there's more and more little kids running around, and I'm nervous too when I see it, especially on that upper circle.
Yeah, we're getting the speeders coming through, and golf carts aren't that fast, but four-wheelers, e-bikes.
It's more than just cars on the busy weekends,
And there are people who, they live here. I know they do, I've seen them, they live here.
No, it's, the speed bumps will send a message, I think it's the right thing to do. All right, with that, is there anything else?
Should there be a recommended direction of going in and out on that first?
Well,
I think there's, some of us think there's a recommended, you veer to the right when you're going into there, and you
You're to the right.
veer to the right that way.
Well, it tends to be the people that live right there that take the shortcut,
Yeah.
and I get that, I don't think we need to put them rules on. And that's my point of view. I don't think that's much of an issue. The speed is the issue.
Speed is the major issue.
Yeah.
People need to watch their kids though too.
Yep.
Yes.
Pay attention to your
That's
kids on the
another
roads,
issue that we
please.
Yep, you are correct.
Yep.
Because that makes me really nervous when people go zooming by, and Matthew included, but especially the little ones, because when they come down that hill, if you're backing out of your driveway, even if you have a backup camera, it would take nothing to hit somebody, and that's what scares me,
Yep,
is
you're
when I
correct.
see them on the scooters and stuff zooming by. That's what makes me nervous.
Yep, same here. I mean, kids could come run out between cars. and-
Yeah, so.
So,
Perfect.
I think we bring it up in National Night Out as one of the hot things that we talk about.
good
For
idea.
that, speaking of that, do you want to have something prepared or handouts or something for that, or
Yeah,
be a Q&A thing, or?
maybe we put some sort of a brochure, just with the reminders. I don't know, is that the time for the
Yeah.
newsletter or
That's what I was
the
thinking, newsletter.
time for the newsletter, the summer newsletter? of
July.
Yep, what's been going on, and, and then if people have questions, we'll document it at the meeting.
Maybe have a suggestion box?
That's a good idea. Yeah, that makes it easier. People can just drop something in. Although we do have the website that.
Always email us.
You can always email us on the website. It's up there. I do read them. I see them when they come across. I look every day. That's a great place for it. So, any comments, any ideas, can come to the website. That's the best place for it. And then we have the documentation to follow up. So, all right, with that, I'm looking for a motion.
Motion to adjourn?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.